Me first?
Yes.
Jack Truesdell.
Spell it.
Spell it Truesdell.
All right, and you can go.
I'm Elsie Truesdell.
All right, thank you. And you can go, Steve.
All right, so first I guess I'll ask you guys where you guys were born and raised. So you want to start with you?
Go.
All
I
right.
was
ahead.
born in London,
London.
England, in
Okay.
1922.
1922, wow. London, England. And you said you were born in Washington?
No,
No. Okay, no.
wasn't born here. I was born in Marysville, Kansas. Moved to Washington, Missouri when I was about less than a year old, probably.
Oh, okay. All right.
Graduated from Washington High School in 1941.
Yeah. Now how about you? When did you move to the United States?
Well, we were married in 1945,
Mm-hmm.
and I came over in 1946.
46?
Mm-hmm.
And how old were you?
I was born
You're
in
22 when we got
22, so
married.
I was 23.
23.
When you got married, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then, I guess, what were you guys doing at the start of the war?
At the start of the war, I was a student at Missouri University.
Missouri University?
Yeah.
And what year were you? Do you remember?
I was in my sophomore year.
Sophomore year?
Mhm.
And how about you, Elsie?
Pardon?
What were you doing at the start of the war?
Start of the war, getting prepared for it.
Getting prepared for it? And what did that include? What were you?
Well, really not very much. We were, you just hoped that it wasn't going to happen.
Right.
And it happened earlier than when you were experienced it. It happened September the 3rd, 1939.
Yeah, 39, that's right.
And on that day, my sister Mari, who was only 12 years of age, and the girl next door were in a little park that was quite close to us. And we heard this airplane come over, and I thought, oh my gosh. And she came running home. They both came running home. She was white as a sheet. And I said, what happened? And she said, he came down and sort of strafed the area and was grinning at them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank God they weren't hurt. You
Right,
know? And
right.
I don't think he intended to hurt them. I think
Right.
he just wanted to scare them,
Right.
which he did.
Right. Wow. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. So you said you were in college. Were you drafted or did you volunteer?
I was drafted
You were drafted.
in January of 43.
January 43? All right. And then what did you go in to do? Like what were you? What
I went into the Army Air Corps.
Army Air Corps? Why'd you choose that?
I didn't choose it.
You didn't choose it?
I was drafted.
Okay. So you were basically, okay.
They put me there.
Okay, gotcha. What was your exact duties for that?
I was in the ordnance department. Our job was loading and fusing bombs,
Loading and fusing.
aircraft bombs.
So did you spend most of your time here, or did you spend your time overseas, or
Most of the time in England.
in England? Okay.
Yeah, I was in less than 6 months when I went overseas.
6 months overseas?
Went to
He
school.
went over here 6 months before he went
Okay.
over.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha. All right. And how'd you guys meet?
At a dance.
At a dance?
Hmm.
My sister-in-law asked me to go, and I said, well, she said, you know you love to dance, and you dance well, which I did, and when we got out of the escalator, we had to walk, and what was the name of the place?
Covent Garden.
Covent Garden,
It was
which had been turned into, it was an opera house there, and it had been turned into a dance hall for servicemen and women.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on our way, the air siren sounded, so we hurried along in the dark, of course, and we finally got there, and we were standing outside, and I could hear Mary talking to somebody, and I said,
You left out a little bit there.
what did I leave out?
That they
Oh,
you
that-
couldn't get in the place
Oh, yeah,
because
and-
during an air raid
yeah,
they wouldn't
closed the
allow
doors.
anybody in or out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Which
So
was horrible.
Right.
that was the
Anyhow.
reason we were all outside.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And I heard her talking to her talking to a voice that was familiar, and I said, is that you, Ron? And he said, "Is that you, Elsie?" And I said, lived just a few doors from where I live, and he was in the service.
Uh-huh.
So we got to talking, and then Mary started talking to Jack because he was outside.
I was behind them in line, waiting to get in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we got to talking, and then we introduced ourselves, of course.
Yes.
And Jack had the first dance with Mary. When the all clear sounded, the door opened, and she had the first dance with him, or he had with her. And then he asked me for the next dance, and we danced the rest of the evening.
Yeah. It's history from there, right?
Yeah.
All right.
And then it happened from there on.
Yeah. So, like, what exactly did you guys think about the start of the war? What was your... were you worried, or were you kind of like, bring it, or...
I was anxious, really anxious to do my part. You
Right.
know.
Which you did.
I was ready to go, and in fact, when they drafted me in the 1st of January, and the semester wasn't over until maybe 3 or 4 weeks after that.
Right.
So I had to leave without even taking any final exams or anything
Right,
for
yeah.
the semester.
Did you get to... After the war, did you get a chance to finish college off, or...
No, well, I guess I had a chance, but
didn't.
I got married during that time, you know, and so
right.
I had too many responsibilities. I couldn't afford to go back.
Right.
I had to go to
Right.
work, so
All right.
no, I never finished.
Never finished. All right. Okay. So what boot camp did you go to?
Well, in the Navy, it's called boot camp. In the Army, it's basic training. At
I forgot what.
That's Jefferson Barracks, South St. Louis.
Jefferson Barracks?
Yeah, Jefferson Barracks,
Okay.
South St. Louis. Then I went to school after that, to ordnance school.
Ordnance school. Can you tell me what both of your like most memorable experience were from the war?
I had too many horrible
Any
experiences.
horrible experiences?
One time, they built a brick air raid shelter right outside our house, about from here to where you are. And the air raid siren went off, and my mother and father said, "You girls go." And we said, "No, not without you." "Yes, you go." So we ran, and I ran and hit the side of the brick shelter and cut off half my eyebrow and screamed, and they thought I'd been hit with a bomb or something. Came running to the entrance and grabbed me, and I was bleeding. Not very much, I don't guess. I don't remember anymore.
Right.
But I told them what had happened because we all started laughing.
Oh.
And another time, we went to another air raid shelter that my sister worked at this place. I don't remember they were doing something for the war, and they had turned the basement into an air raid shelter and had bunks. And one evening, my sister Mara and I, and Gladys, who was older, she was 10 years older than I, was running ahead of us, and we were both running. All three of us were running, and suddenly we screamed, and she turned around. She said, "What happened?" And I said, "Just go on, we're all right, we haven't been hurt, go, go, go." A piece of shrapnel had fallen in between us and burst into flames.
Oh, wow.
And naturally scared us half to death.
Wow, I bet.
And we continued to run, got in the place. It wasn't very far from where we lived. And when we got inside, she was passed out.
Oh, wow.
And we were taken care of.
Yeah. Wow.
Uh,
So did you have any siblings that happened to go in?
pardon?
Did you have any brothers or anything that happened to go in?
My brother Harold was in the Air Force.
Okay.
But my brother Joe was not. He was not able to go. He had been born with a foot that was, his leg was shorter than the other one. Not terribly, and he wore these shoes.
Elevated shoe.
Yeah, elevated shoe on his right foot. So
Yeah.
he didn't have to go.
Yeah. And how about you, Jack? What about memorable experiences?
When you took the bomb off the plane.
Well, it was one time. We had some bombs that were fused with, I forgot what they were called now. But fuses that the bombs wouldn't explode when they hit. They were timed fuses.
Right.
And one of the planes that my crew had loaded, the bombardier was checking things out before they got ready to take off, and he dropped the bombs on the ground underneath the plane. And so it was up to us to load up those bombs and take them away, because we don't know when they were, what time they were supposed to
Right.
go off.
Right.
So we had to get them up as soon as we could and haul them away. That was dangerous.
Yeah.
And but that's, it's just part of our job, really.
Right.
It was really hard work because those things are really heavy. And,
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I know ordnance is usually, is that special forces now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I don't know what it is now.
Yeah.
But,
I know you have to go through a lot of special
yeah.
training.
Yeah. See, this was all 60-some years ago.
Right. Yeah. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
Did you see any combat at all, or did you?
No direct
No,
combat.
no combat at all.
No.
Thank
Okay.
goodness.
Our planes did, but
Right.
we got them ready, got them loaded, and they came back, and we preloaded.
Right.
But no, we didn't. I didn't see any direct combat.
So where exactly were you stationed at?
Well, I was stationed at two different places in England. One was at Wendling, which you wouldn't. We had Wendling.
The other was I.
The other one was at Eye,
Eye.
both small little villages
South.
where we had big bases built there.
Right.
And we had B-24 bombers at first, and then after it's about a year after we got there, I guess they transferred our ordnance department and my squadron got transferred to another base. The planes that had just come over, a bomber group that had just come over, didn't have any ordnance department, and they had B-17s. So we had to switch over and know how to use it. But it wasn't hard. It was,
Right.
but same kind of bombs, but different interior in the planes, But,
Right. All right. Like during the war, it's going to be kind of scattered. Kind of ask different questions about everything.
It's all right.
All right. Now, did you have to deal with a lot of rationing and stuff?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah. How did you guys like that? Did you?
Dreadful.
Dreadful.
We had, I was trying to think, one thing that we had just once a week. I can't remember what it was. And it was only enough, I had two sisters at home, and Mummy had died during the war in 1930, right after the war started. And Daddy had remarried before I came over, but he remarried. And so we went with him, and I think it was a loaf of bread that I think it was something different from that, but we didn't have, and meat was just unbelievable. You were lucky if we got 2 ounces of meat a week.
2 ounces
Per
of meat.
Per person.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And eggs, we never saw eggs during the war.
Never saw eggs.
No. Which was kind of ridiculous.
Right. All right. What did you guys think about the enemy? I mean,
The enemy?
yeah.
Well, actually, we didn't really know enough about the enemy really during the war.
So they kind of just.
I learned a lot about them afterwards, and I was glad that we did what we did.
Right. So you guys were pretty much clueless while you were there.
Beg your
You
pardon?
guys were pretty much clueless while you were there. You were clueless while.
Clueless.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. No newspapers or anything, and of course, there wasn't any television in those days,
Right.
No, that's right.
and we didn't even have radios or anything that we could listen to any news of any kind.
Right. Did you have any friends or family drafted in, or go in the Army with you?
I had a brother that was in the Coast Guard.
Brother was in the Coast Guard.
He was stationed in Texas all during the war.
Oh yeah.
I got another brother that went in the Korean War.
Oh, Korean War.
Yeah.
Kicking.
He was in the Army and he went to Korea.
Yeah. And before you, did you have any, like, was your father in the Army or your grandfather?
My father was in the Navy in World War I. Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
All right. Did you, like, receive any medals or citations?
I got what they call a soldier's medal.
Soldier's medal?
We had an airplane that caught fire while we were in the process of getting the planes ready. And the bombs had been delivered there, but they were just laying on the tarmac under the plane, ready to be loaded. And it wasn't one of my planes, but when that plane caught fire, well, they asked for the volunteers to get those bombs away from there, which I did. I and my sergeant in charge of our whole group and the officer that was in charge of our whole group, the three of us went and got those bombs away from there.
Wow.
And
You gotta,
unknowns to me, it was maybe a couple of months after that, I was notified that I was going to be awarded the soldier's medal.
Yeah.
And a general came over to all three of us got the soldier's medal for doing that. Yeah.
I bet was that probably pretty scary at the time?
It was scary at the time. Yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Wow.
but you got several medals in that.
Well, the others are just they're good conduct medal, and the ribbons for European Theater of Operations. That's what my ribbons are for.
Yeah. I guess this will go to both of you as well. What did you guys do for entertainment?
Well, that's how we met.
So dancing.
I didn't. Of course, I would get a leave, maybe a 48-hour pass, about once a month. I can't remember whether it was how often in between it was, but it wasn't wasn't often enough.
Wasn't often enough.
But
So you guys-
anyway, I had gone to London with a good friend of mine, Ed Donovan, who was also the best man at our wedding.
Yeah.
I had gone on to leave to London with him a few times, and I don't know. For this time, I went by myself. I don't remember why, but he didn't get a leave the same time I did.
Yeah.
So I went by myself to Covent Garden that night. And that was the beginning.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you guys didn't get to really see each other a lot then, did you?
Pardon?
You guys didn't really get to see each other a lot, did you? After
No,
you
we
guys-
Just a
didn't.
whole lot.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yes, it
Was
wasn't too bad, was it?
it wasn't too bad. She came up twice, I think.
Yeah. Mhm.
Came up to where our base was, and
Yeah. Stayed
the
for a
first
week.
time I found a place in a private home that had a spare bedroom, but they didn't have an indoor bathroom.
And the spare bedroom only had a twin bed.
Yeah, that's
Or a
right.
single
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
But anyway, she spent the night there, and another time she came up, and there was a little hotel in the village just outside our base, and I'd made a reservation for staying there, and
Yeah.
that worked out
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I think it was only twice she came up. I think
I think it was 2 or 3 times. I
maybe
can't,
three.
I can't
I'm not
remember.
sure.
Yeah.
Did you guys write each other or anything?
Yes,
Did we?
constantly.
You can't remember.
I wrote a lot.
Yeah. Constantly then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I left England in October of 45. Yeah, 45. And of course, she didn't come over until the following
February the 26th.
End of February, yeah.
Yeah.
And during that time, well, we both wrote lots of letters
Yeah.
to each other then.
Yeah. Do you guys still have any of those? Or do you guys
Pardon?
still have any of those?
I do.
You do? Yeah. Oh boy.